Hi, welcome to another program. Today I want to talk about the American and Turkish relations. Turkey has received the first shipment of S-400 air missile defense systems from Russia. This indicates an important footnote for Turkey and the relations between Turkey and American United States of America. Now, everybody says that some people at least say that Turkey might be or should be won to remain in NATO, or Turkish and American relations should be restored again. But this is not feasible in my opinion. The main reason is not because of the S-400, but we have to look at everything from the top and how the relations have started, how it evolved, and why we are here today. Because the two countries do not share any common or mutual goals anymore, and therefore the relation that we so-called ally has ended, or we shall say evolved to a partnership. Now let's talk about this week and what will happen in future between the United States and Turkey. Let's start. So, as you know, the Turkey and United States of America, the first relations have started right after the Second World War. United States needed soldiers for South Korea or Korean Peninsula, and Turkey was ready to supply these soldiers. In return, Turkey wants to be involved or accepted by NATO and NATO members, because Turkey at that moment thought that the Soviet threat has been increasing, and Turkey needed a shelter. So NATO was the best shelter because United States of America was backing this, and they were holding at that time the major global military power that the Soviet regime cannot match up. Now, after that, what we see 10 years later, a decade later, a crisis between Russia and United States, which we call Cuba. And that time, Russia had launched some missiles in Cuba, and before that even, United States had allocated or launched some missiles in Turkey. And in order that there will be a war, these missiles were considered to be used. Now, in return of behind the closed doors, United States and Soviet regime have agreed to pull these, missiles from Turkey and from Cuba, respectively, and there will be no threats to each other. So, from Russia or from Soviet regime and from United States perspective, this was a good deal. A doable, feasible deal. But for Turkey, it puts a question mark to the elites in their mind, because Turkish elites have not been asked what their ideas are, or do they have a kind of concern about this. Because the main reason why Turkey is under NATO and also against Soviet regime, because of the Soviet regime increasing threats at that time. And Turkey had put a question mark over there at that time. Then we see another rising tension between United States and Turkey during the Cyprus peace operation, as the Turks call, or as you might know, even Cyprus invasion. Turkey was, I believe, also it was right for us to launch invasion, let's say, if you wish, to Cyprus, because we need to protect our own people, because they were under great risks of kill or shooting by the Cypriots at that time. And but what has happened is the United States of America had put a military sanction against us, and we couldn't be able to access our own technology. There, our elites at that time decided that yes, it is now time that we should be starting to manufacturing our own, military equipments. Therefore, all these companies that you might be hearing also called, like USASH, Aselsan especially, which is a military manufacturing company for state, were formed after this period. During 80s, Turkey had set these companies where the intention was to manufacture the Turkish military equipment for our needs and interest from now on. Due to the economic problems during 80s and 90s, the operations of these companies were not great. Minor equipments or military equipments like rifles and some guns or other not very much complicated in terms of technology military equipments were manufactured, but not the ones that we need, like planes, missiles, and other things. So we see the first acquisition not from Russia at that time, but from China. We bought some missiles at that time from China, and we tried to understand how the operating systems are working. That was the major underlying reason for Turkey to acquire the Chinese at that time missiles, because we need to understand how the operating system works. But as I said, during 80s and 90s, the country's economy was really under perils, under risks, and it wasn't good. So the feasibility and the capability of the companies were low. When we come to 2000, we see that in 2003, the U.S. soldiers put or cuffed the Turkish soldiers in Sulaymaniyah, northern Iraq, in southern Iraq, northern Iraq, and that was a big footnote for Turkey. It gives us suspect, not even suspect, but it confirmed that Turkey or United States sees Turkey as a country where they can dictate to do anything as they would like to. And therefore, Turkey has decided to speed up all this process. So what has happened is that we try to buy all these high technology equipments from NATO and elsewhere, but we were always rejected. During the Obama period, Turkey asked the United States to buy Patriot missile systems in order to protect its borders. Obama administration denied this, so Turkey turned to the other manufacturers, at first China. The deal was not good enough, so we again terminated that, and we decided to buy all these S-400 missile system. Now, the main reason, as everybody is talking, that yes, Turkey should, protect the borders and so on and so forth. We don't have the defense systems for our airspace. All we know, all we hear. But the main reason why Turkey have acquired this is not because only defending the country, but also to access the technology behind it. As long as Turkey understands the operating systems, there it starts to produce or manufacture its own national military equipment systems, including air defense, GPSs, I will say the aircraft machine or engine, the vehicle engines, and other navy engines or equipments. That is the most important thing. So sometimes you might be hearing or reading some articles about the Russian, military equipment manufacturers are ready to supply or share the technology with Turkey, because they are aware that Turkey wants to access these transfers or technology transfers. And there is one thing that you should always remember, at least if you haven't been noticing yet. While the Ottoman Empire have conquered Istanbul, and before that, what Sultan Mehmet at that time did is to help an Hungarian artillery master. His name is called Orban, from prison in Hungary to Istanbul or Edirne to nearby at that time the capital of Ottoman Empire, so that these artilleries can be manufactured, because he knows that we did not have the technology at that time to manufacture these kind of artilleries. He helped Urban to escape from the prison. so that we can access. I put this as a resemblance why we needed S-400, not only to protect the borders and defend the airspace, but also to acquire the transfer or technology transfer in order to start manufacturing our own needs. Turkey, with or without US, needs to access this technology. The Cyprus invasion and the sanction later on against Turkey, and the Patriot events, and before that even in 2000, I think 10 or 2009, as far as I remember, where Turkey was under some operations from the northern Syria and Iraq, where small size of, I would say, missiles were launched from that part of the country. The Netherlands and Germany were very reluctant to supply the Patriot systems, which would be protecting the people and the cities from missiles launched from northern Syria and northern Iraq. And that was end for Turkey. Regardless, you would be supplying or you will not be supplying, but we are going to produce one day our own technology. These kind of things, and some people do not understand this, but if you go to the Tamil events or Somali events, you will understand that there was always a part of the community that feel the grievances about this, because of at that time whatever the government was there, they were applying some kind of politics to those people that they feel they are under risks. So those events that Turkey faced throughout the time felt Turkey that Turkey's independence or security is under risk, and regardless from now on any good intention or not, Turkey is going to start manufacturing its own military equipments. Indeed, it will take maybe a decade or 2 decades to have these kind of equipments, but eventually Turkey's, I would say, determination is or does exist at this moment. There are a lot of risks for that, and economically it should be at first the main risk there. Why? We will look at also 80s and 90s, the determination was there, but because of the economy, the capability of the companies were low. So at that moment, the first I see as a risk to manufacturing our own national, local, I will say, military equipment was due to economy. As far as Turkey has a good economy, we have the chance to produce our own national military equipments. Therefore, if you are looking from now to future, I have to state or underline that the S-400 delivery to Turkey is only a stamp for the relations between Turkey and United States of America, as the relation so-called ally has ended. And I will say this is what I think we will see from now on. Or if you want to hear another thing, the ally relation between the United States and Turkey has evolved to partnership or reduced to partnership. That's maybe more polite to say. And especially we will see this cooperation or operation, I will say, between Turkey and the United States under NATO umbrella. And if everybody thinks that Russia is a now great, I will say, ally to Turkey, you are all mistaken here. And last year, Turkey has started to build a navy port in Trabzon in the Black Sea region. Importance to Turkey because after its independence, Turkey has or had no port or navy port in Black Sea. This was the first one after the Ottoman Empire collapsed. That shows that not only United States but also with Russia we have the relation as we called partnership but not ally. This means that Turkey is trying to open its own wings aside just to pursue its own interest, and we will work with anyone for our own interest to pursue it with. We will have no reactions or objections for that as long as we can pursue our own interest. Let's see what will happen in future. But as we think, we will see that the relation between United States and Turkey has evolved to partnership, but not anymore ally. If you like this video, please press the like button under the video screen and get subscribed to our channel so you will hear the first once we launch a new video. Thank you for watching us and see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.